Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me back for a second year. As Richard already said, I'm Cailean. I lead the education sector for IBM in the UK. And what I wanted to talk to you about today was a real progression from last year's presentation. It was very focused around predictive analytics, for those of you that were there and still remember from a year ago. And I really wanted to show you the progression that we've made from the partners that we collected at last year's FOTE event. And show you the progression we've made and really gain your insights and your feedback as to our vision for achieving an exceptional student experience. So please tweet me, drop me LinkedIn messages throughout this. We'd really love to get your thought leadership and your feedback. So this is going to be really fast-paced because I only have 20 minutes and I have a load to cover. So get ready for a little bit of motion sickness and a real quick wild ride through IBM's view of how we can work towards creating a smarter education system, particularly with focus on achieving an exceptional student experience. So the way that I wanted to kind of cover this was to look at technologies such as social, mobile, data, cloud, a whole bunch of other things, but without really talking about the technology specifically, but talk about the impact that it makes to the learner journey from applicant to alumni, how these technologies can really revolutionize education delivery and learner experience, but also transform the business of education. So I wanted to share this vision with you through the eyes of a single learner, as opposed to talking about features and functions of various technologies. So with that, let me introduce you to a very good friend of mine, Jane, who is based on a real gal pal of mine. Jane is a typical demographic that we're finding that are coming to the education space at the moment. You know, out of work or being made redundant or having challenge at work, and looking towards education in order to achieve ambitions. So bear with me for a little while I get into the story of this. But we're going to follow Jane as she goes from applicant to alumni and see the technologies and the future vision that IBM has built with our partners. And then I want to cover how we've had precedence in delivering that and what the results are to hopefully inspire you guys. So 3 things you need to know about Jane. First of all, she has a real passion for fashion. She loves designing her couture. And secondly, a real passion for e-business. And combining those 2 things together, her ambition is to become an e-boutique owner. And, 3 guesses for the third one on that. She is looking for safety and security for her and her young boy ongoing. These are sort of characters in the story, and this is a very FE-based story, so HE delegates, please bear with me, and I hope you can draw the parallel. But our parents are other characters in the story, and also her employer, who's agreed to be a part sponsor for the course that she's choosing. So effectively, that's the background on Jane, typical representation of a student today. So, like all students, they're looking at education. Well, where do they go first? They're looking at colleges, universities in their local region, but also who has the best brand reputation, and how do I really make the cost-benefit analysis of where I want to go, especially in the more commercialized area that we find ourselves in. So Jane goes onto her PC, she lands on a random college's website, and she's got a whole smattering of offers, and I wonder if your websites are like this too. I find them amazing. So we've got, be a mechanic, apprentice, sixth form, HE, a whole bunch of stuff, and the parallel I kind of draw is it's almost like buying bananas with an automobile and insurance for travel, right? It's such a varied view. And none of that stuff is really interesting Jane, because we already kind of know what she's interested in. So she searches for fashion, finds the course, but there's lots of content on it, but it's not really engaging her. It's kind of a flat prospectus. She searches for e-business, but actually returns an error and says that doesn't even exist in the world of this college. So she searches just for business, but there's no reference to e-business at all. And then she searches for student support, particularly learning difficulties and disabilities, finds a little bit, leaves after about 3 minutes. And usually for education, that's kind of the end of the recruitment journey for many people, because we kind of expect learners to come to us, make an application, and then start a marketing process. We're not always that proactive at the front end to anonymous users. But in this situation, she goes back onto her PC, she lands on a Hotmail account. I bet this has happened to you when you've been shopping for your all of you live face cream, like it does to me. You get a banner ad in the corner that says, hey, we saw that you're interested in this, fashion, e-business, here's an offer that you might not have seen. And what I'm finding is, retail, finance are really great, that kind of digital marketing aspect. But education aren't quite there yet, certainly from my perspective. So Jane sees that new information that she didn't quite find the first time, clicks into it, goes back to the website and finds a personalized view, so that the view has dynamically changed to reflect her interests and push content to her. So we know that she's not interested in being a mechanic at this point. She's interested in fashion and business. So let's change dynamically the content to make sure it's relevant to her. She clicks into a course. There's a whole load of information on there. But what's interesting here is there's a recommendation engine. People who looked at this also look at other things. So using crowdsourcing and wisdom of the crowd in order to make good recommendations on other courses for a cross-sell situation. And we can see here that the Peter Jones Enterprise Academy, something that Jane didn't really know about, and obviously a fast-growing but quite a new concept to the FE and HE marketplaces. So clicking into that, she finds video content from Peter Jones selling her the course and giving her something very different and engaging in a very different way. And of course, all personalised again towards Jane. She gives it a big old thumbs up on Facebook and all loves it. But at the same time, Ardell, who is a college student but based in the US as a distance learner, he chairs at the Enterprise Club. And effectively, he sees the request come through from Jane and contacts her through Facebook automatically to say, hey, Jane, see you're interested in Enterprise. Did you know that we actually have a pre-applicant community online in which we have 200 representatives from across the college, alumni, staff, and students that all have a shared passion about Enterprise, that are collaborating in real time, that you can gain a window into what an experience would be like on campus, rather than just a prospectus that kind of dropped through the mail. Jane loves it, and while she's on there, sees that Andrea, Rico, and Dr. Hiroshi all talking about the fall of traditional retail and the rise of e-retail, something that's really interesting to Jane. And again, she's interacting and building a network that's going to hopefully make her more successful on campus and maybe make those first few weeks a little bit easier. So after a little while, Jane leaves. She gets an email the next day to her BlackBerry, invites her down to campus. And of course, we all know that chances of converting students when they're on campus go up about 5-fold, based on them seeing the facilities and meeting the people and really getting a feel for the atmosphere. So she tweets about it, thinks it's fab, and she can see that actually there's been a bit of negative content on Twitter that's been said about this institution. But the institution has picked up on that and responded automatically to ensure that any issues have been overcome, using some quite advanced analytics to crawl the social media space to find sentiment on brand impact. So her parents agree it's a really good choice, and her employer again agrees to pass on her qualification. So on the ride home, giddy with excitement, she goes onto her BlackBerry, builds in the online application on her app, and she gets an automated portal that gives her a single view back into that institution that can help her go through these stages from applicant to enrollment to ensure there's no dropouts and there's clear keep warm activity and communications. So she can get involved in the social like she was with Enterprise Club. She can get more advice, change her record, etc. But there's one place to do that. And I'm still amazed that there's so many, particularly colleges and some HE institutions that actually use letters still in order to be able to connect with their learners in this kind of fashion. So that's really the recruitment journey for Jane. That's how she's gone from understanding what the marketplace is and making a choice that this college is the best one for her. So moving on from that, while she's on campus, when I'm moving towards October time, I want to cover some of the tools that she might be using that really change the way in which delivery of education happens and how she experiences it. So first of all, she's back on her PC. She's seen another portal. So it's a similar theme to the first one, so we're keeping continuity as she goes through stages through the learner life cycle. And here we can see we're integrating her external social media to make sure we're giving her personal value and updating those items. But we're also pushing content from across the college. So imagine these areas almost changing like a New York Stock Exchange board, bringing information from the 78 different systems that college might have. And instead of requiring that learner to sign in and dip in and out of all of them and try and collate them all together, we're integrating that in one easy space in which she can have information that's relevant to her pushed to her. So a typical example might be, someone's assigned you a new piece of coursework on Moodle, or your Mahara, your online portfolio editing, has had some updates and some comments back from your lecturer, and actually 3 of your friends are online, and be able to push all of that interesting stuff as opposed to quite generic messaging. And of course, we can see here that there is an alert just on the timetable area there. So clicking into that, it's 9:55, we can see her timetable for the day. So who do we have? Are they online? Can we ask them questions? Can we live chat them? Where's the links to Moodle? So everything's quite integrated. So we're not, again, dipping in and out of systems. We're making it seamless and enjoyable for the learner and easy to access those education tools. And of course, people take the path of least resistance, rather. So making things easy obviously enhances learning. And we have an interactive map there too. And of course, with this is the any device learning. A huge part of FOTE last year that I really enjoyed was the bring your own device agenda, which I know is still, maturing in this marketplace. Well, what we've done, certainly in this example and with others, is introduce virtual desktop technology. So being able to have anywhere, any device access at any time. So real on-demand learning through virtual desktop. And that can be obviously on any device, but not just for Portal. But in Jane's situation, there may be that really advanced fashion design tool that she can't quite afford at home, but she can gain access to anywhere, whether she's in the bath in Hawaii, on the train or iPad. She can still gain that from the institution, and therefore have some really flexible working. With that, it's not just the accessibility and the BYOD, but also the social collaboration layer, which I didn't want to cover in too much detail, because it's obviously quite a large area. But looking at a singular community that's moving away from virtual learning environments and towards social learning environments. And we're really seeing that institutions are asking us to help them create SLEs that are looking at not just flat file repositories that you can interact with on a one-to-one basis, but being able to connect with a learner across the globe because you can understand their sort of internal Facebook profile and see what skills and resources they have, and then connect with them via video conference or instant chat, and then share files and bookmarks and collaborate on videos and docs in real time. But have all of those tools integrated in one place. So we're not dipping, again, in and out of different systems. It's integrated and it's creating virtual campuses. So Jane, may well be a distance learner, again, from another country, but be able to get all of the provision that she requires through the social collaboration platform. So again, I won't cover too much more on that, but we certainly have a lot more to tell. So, moving on from the journey, we're now looking at sort of November, and things aren't really going too well for Jane. She's kind of had a bit of a rough time. So, she gets a text message and a Facebook update that goes straight towards her portal. So, again, she can see that view at all times, but we have another alert that's based on her statistics. So, clicking into that, we can see at any point, obviously she's being directed to it at this point, a performance dashboard of where is Jane, what is her attendance like, what are the various metrics that are going to contribute towards her success. So we're not only empowering Jane with the information of her own performance, therefore enabling her to take ownership and management of her own success, but we're also giving her some recommended actions on what she can do to take leadership and improve her own grades. So moving from a D to a C based on last year's students and the current cohort this year, actually people attended 10% more and spent an hour extra a week online. So being very clear, based again on dynamic crowdsourcing, what are the best steps that are maybe going to fit best for Jane in order to help her. And again, some recommended actions. So being very clear on how she can automate, not just turning information into insight, but making sure that it's turned into action that's going to support her for success. So because, we imagine for a second she's under 18 for safeguarding reasons, obviously you've got to let her parents know. So they have a portal and a view into the institution in which they can see her statistics, they can interact with the lecturers, see the timetables and mark any absences. But likewise, because Mike was part funding her qualification, he gains a view. So he may have 20 apprentices, let's say, at this college, and he can see them all. And look at that, right at the top, Jane is being marked red using predictive analytics. That is really looking at her digital characteristics and behaviours and cross-referencing that with previous generations of learners to algorithmically and using artificial intelligence in order to predict within 80% likelihood whether she's going to pass or fail and what support that she would need to give the best support to her. So again, Mike can gain a view into that, and we're connecting those external stakeholders who have a vested interest in Jane's success, and empowering them with that information, and giving them a route into connecting with Jane and the institution to help support her. But meanwhile, Brad, who is Student Support Officer in the college, isn't just sitting behind some desk in some manky-owned building waiting for students to walk up to him and ask him for help. He's going to take a proactive view to actually supporting learners. So he has a view of the world from his portal that's designed and customised by him that gives him that integration that we talked about for Jane, as a staff member, empowering him to be more efficient and have better reach. And again, he has a performance dashboard, so you can see, the learners that need the most help. Instead of having a real scattergun approach, how we really focus those quite limited student support resources in order to have the greatest impact. So again, we can see Jane's top of the list here. So he decides to send some automated support through text message and Facebook, and again, using the channels that we know Jane uses, and therefore connecting with her in an engaging way. But he also drops a call into Jane and finds that actually she's had quite a serious operation, and she's going to be out for about 8 weeks. Luckily, she has a mobile phone, so she can still use all that social collaboration and that accessibility to still learn while off campus. But obviously, it's going to be detrimental to her attendance and potentially her success. So Brad takes that information, goes back into the institution and talks to Julie, who's the prime lecturer for enterprise. And Julie, again, has a view of the world that's slightly different, that helps her be more efficient. She has a view of her performance for the course and all the students that are part of it. And again, we're given the right management information to ensure the business of education is using, a single set of data as opposed to 72 different spreadsheets that aren't quite saying the same thing when we're around a management table. And likewise, Kathy, who's head of division, based in Nigeria, also has a view of the world, also has a view of her performance for the division and the programs that she's responsible for. So she can drill into all this information and understand where are the problems and strategic issues across the organization, and also opportunities that she can take action on in order to create greater success for learners and for the institution. So Kathy decides to take action, and she's going to call a video conference between the three of them to really discuss what are we going to do to best support Jane and ensure that she can be successful. We're not waiting to the end of term for some board review. Meanwhile, the students already failed. We're being very proactive in doing this ahead of time. And they decide effectively that Julie is best placed as prime lecturer, and her iPad's going to ring every 2 days to tell her that she needs to call Jane to make sure that she's okay and support her. And if she doesn't, Kathy's going to hear about it. Because again, it's about automating actions to make sure the learner has greater success. So through those conversations with Julie, Jane decides to go back to her portal, and she's going to take some action on how she really wants to progress and support herself. So she can't book an appointment or join a help club because obviously she's physically isolated. But she can decide to take up a coach. So using the same social collaboration technology that we kind of had a very brief look at, she's able to be hooked up with Mark Goodman, who's a successful alumni and businessman that did her course 4 years ago. And again, in quite a safe environment, but a socially free environment, he's able to inspire her, motivate her, and give her a very different angle with deep industry integration. So again, enhancing Jane's performance and connected support. And of course, with all of this support being at the right time in the right place, ahead of time, we're actually able to ensure that she can raise her grades. So she's gone from a D to an A, hypothetical situation. But we're not just bringing people down when their attendance or their statistics are low, but really celebrating success when they're high. We can see she has a progress award. She's able to celebrate with some discounts at her local fashion boutique, and she's able to share it with her network. So she can share it back with her parents, back with her employer, to say, look at the progress that I've made, and take some real ownership of that, and obviously be proud of that success. So, of course, Jane is successful based on all of that support and that connectivity and accessibility to systems. And she goes on to become a mentor and a coach to the new generation, Ben and Crystal, who again are in different parts of the world, different time zones, different devices, but can still interact in real time as if they were around the table together. And there's one thing that I kind of left out of this journey as she's gone from applicant to alumni. Obviously, things don't stop at alumni. We kind of go right way up the circle again and try cross-sell, upsell. You've done your undergraduate, do you fancy your postgraduate? Now you're a loyal customer, arguably, at the institution. But again, one minor point is that my friend Jane actually has quite an advanced case of spina bifida. That's almost completely irrelevant through this process, because you wouldn't have known, because these technologies are inclusive, they're enabling, even to those that may have lower skill usage for IT, but it still allows Jane to be successful and achieve her aspirations. And of course, this is one learner, which this has been automated. Many of your institutions will have tens of thousands of learners potentially, in which we can automate this happening all at the same time in order to ensure greater success for learners. So that's the real sort of vision, I said, that we've created with our partners and our clients over the last year since FOTE 2011. And, I'd be really interested to gain your feedback and stretch our thinking on any ideas that you have or any areas that you feel we should really develop in that. Obviously, a very quick run through, so there's certainly more to be had there. But what I wanted to cover now is really where has this been successful? It's a great vision, but actually, has it been implemented and what have the results been? Because I know that's what you're all kind of itching for. So let me just kind of walk through those. So looking at the digital marketing aspect, so that recruitment journey, you can see there in big old letters that we've managed to increase admissions at a university that had 14,000 learners by 18% in 12 months by using Facebook digital marketing alone. That represented 29 million in net present value in that 12-month period, additional to their current increases in admissions. Now, that's phenomenal, and I'm sure that you would all be really happy if you could raise admissions by 18%. But let's work smarter with digital marketing. Let's go through the channels, the mobile and social channels that learners are present in order to try and recruit them in ways that retail and finance have been doing for years. Looking at the accessible portal side of things, our partner, Cardiff University, has been developing the modern working environment with us. 26,000 students and 5,000 staff have that seamless experience that allows them to go between systems in order to get faster and more agile learning. Unfortunately, this is obviously a lot harder to quantify, but certainly some great anecdotes from Cardiff on what the difference that it's made, not only to their infrastructure and their savings and their staff time, but actually to the impact on learner and making things easier, smoother and smarter. And looking at the social collaboration side of things, again, another one that's quite hard to quantify, but the social learning environment that IBM's created with Birmingham Metropolitan College, one of the largest and most successful FE colleges in the UK, is Classroom in the Cloud. And they now have capability for 26,500 learners to be connected across 180 different countries. That allows them to connect an entire ecosystem of alumni, industry experts. They've got the football manager of Sweden video conferencing their sports students, an area that you may not always see technology as being fundamental to learning. So there's a real interesting story around that, and again we have some more information, some great video content on Birmingham Met talking about the difference that that's made to them. And with that, we also launched our Bring Your Own Device area product. So they now have capability for 3,000 virtual desktops at any one time. That's concurrency. So across staff and students, they can have any device, anywhere, anytime for 3,000. That's completely transformed the way in which they've worked. It's enabled smarter campuses to be able to extend their reach globally. And through IBM, they've been able to extend to new markets across the globe with that quite, geographically breakdown of their campus. And lastly, the predictive analytics, which again is obviously much more quantifiable. You'll see the numbers on there. We've managed to raise success rates by 8% in a single year. Going from 80% success rate to 88% in Hamilton County Schools case, and reducing attrition by 25% in that same 12-month period by being proactive and predictive about how we support learners. We've got a great reference in the UK with Edinburgh Telford College that have been championing with us for about 18 months. So I hope you can see that a real flavour of actually, this isn't just a vision. We're actually implementing this with our partners. And we're not just doing it in piecemeal either. One of our most innovative clients at the moment is Oxford and Cherwell Valley College, up in obviously the Oxford and Reading region. They look up to just over 22,000 learners and are actually looking at all 4 areas and the entire journey that you've just seen as a big bang approach to completely revolutionise the way in which they operate as education deliverers and the business of education. So looking at a complete holistic transformation of the way in which they operate. So the final thing I want to cover in the last couple of minutes is really around the partnership benefits. I made the offer last year that we are looking for more strategic partners. We've had some great successes there, as you've had with some institutions here in the UK, but we are looking for more, as always. And based on success last year, again, I want to make that invitation. But strategic partnership to us, and certainly to me, is around mutual benefits from a relationship. So, investigating technologies together that are going to completely enhance and create an exceptional student experience. But we're also prepared to put our skin in the game too, and use the power and the brand of IBM and the 500,000 employees we have and the global presence that we have in order to better support the learners. So I want to give you a real quick flavour of how we've done that so far with the partners that we have. So the IBM Cloud Academy is a collection of 45 of the most leading institutions from 27 different countries across the globe. So Qatar, Shanghai, Australia, France, Turkey, the UK, and many states in the US, and quite a few more, that are all completely revolutionising cloud technologies within the education sector. And they meet every month in order to collaborate and share best practice, transfer students, in order to work on IT projects together that's looking at cloud technologies that are maybe 5-10 years down the line, again with support and funding from IBM in order to help them do that. Birmingham Met have been a really strong partner in that. The IBM Academic Initiative is a huge curriculum resources pool and a learning network. There are 3 million learners, 25,000 faculty staff from 5,000 institutions from 163 countries across the globe. There's a huge wealth of network out there that are all collaborating on lesson plans, they're sharing activities, they're sharing courses and joint qualifications. One of my personal favourites is the IBM Global Entrepreneur Programme. So entrepreneurship is really picking up in FE and within HE, regardless of what kind of course you're doing. There's an area in which entrepreneurship can really enhance those skills. And we have funding of $150 million to invest in startup businesses that are working towards creating a smarter planet. I'd certainly like to see a lot of that come to UK institutions such as yourselves to create spin-off businesses for your learners. And with that, support and guidance. So we will offer any hardware or software or service from the entire 90,000 strong portfolio of IBM in order to support learning. So if they want to be the next Boots, great for them. Let's give them all the tools that Boots currently use in order to create their business and gain rich learning and real experience from that. And again, in the classroom, if it's IT, if it's media, if it's whatever, we will provide whatever we can in order to support that. And lastly, in a few cases where we've had quite deep strategic partnerships, we've gone as far as actually to create a building that's a classroom of the future. So this, we've created a Birmingham Metropolitan College, which is a real 22nd century facility for learning and collaboration. You're getting a bit of a sneak peek here, because it's not officially open until the 21st of November. But I wanted to give you a bit of view on, we're prepared to go quite far with our strategic relationships in order to create unique value that would give you confidence to move on a journey with us for technology. And you can see there we've created some quite unique collaboration spaces that showcase an IBM technology, but being used as an innovative learning application. So that's really what I wanted to cover with you today. What I would say is we do have a stand here. We're delighted to sponsor this event and for a second year. We have loads more information on those case studies that I talked about, loads more on the solutions. And if you're interested in becoming a strategic partner with IBM, let me know through social media or come and grab me later on today. But thank you for your time.